So who wants to go first today, guys? We have a bunch of semantic stuff. Chaz, I know you have a presentation. Jake, I know you have some stuff pertaining to RankBrain. Mike, you always just have some stuff, and I never know what it is. We never talk about it prior, but you always have some stuff up your sleeve. I want to talk a little bit about kind of like the brand entity algo. I know I talk a lot about that in LPB. Just influencing the knowledge graph, making Google really understand that you're a real business, a real entity, and how that affects rankings and so on and so forth. So we have a lot of content. Who wants to shoot first? I'm long-winded. I can go first. You guys know that, but I'm okay with stepping back too.
If you don't mind, I'd like to go first.
That's fine. Sure. If you want to, oh my goodness, we have like a fire truck going by the office, so that's really nice. All right, they're gone. Do you want to share your screen, Chaz?
Yeah, yeah, I'll need to do that.
All right, let me make you a presenter. Are you sure you want to make Chaz the presenter? I do. I actually do. You are. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Give me a +1 if you can see my screen. Let me know if we're good there.
Oh, I have your screen. I will give you a +1.
All right. All right. A couple things. What I have open here, if you see, is just one of Google's many patents that talk about semantics and how they analyze semantics, how they compare different text versus known authorities. I can drop some of these links if anybody's interested in really digging in and doing a lot of research on this, finding out what's actually patented and what, and like I said, I only have 3 open, but they literally, when you start looking at Google's patents that they have on semantics, it's amazing the number of patents they have. But one of the common things that you're going to find in a lot of their patents is they reference like authority. What are the authority sites saying about keyword relevance? Like what keywords are present on the authority sites? And so what we started to do, I know one of their patents used to reference like using Wikipedia as an authority site about the different keywords and then comparing a web page versus the known authority page on that, and seeing how relevant the keywords were, and related keywords too. So not just one keyword, but your whole LSI group of keywords. So what we started to do on our white label, where we're doing our on-site optimization, is we're starting to run them through this tool here called Text Tools. It's a really simple tool, and what it's doing, it's going out and it's grabbing not only your top ranking websites for any keyword or phrase, but it's also comparing your text to authority sites as well. And so one of the things that when we started looking at tools to use to basically anything we do, we need to be able to scale, just because we deal in bulk and wholesale. So we need a tool to do it. We can't manually have somebody go and do this. But this text tools, so we tested on a couple different sites. Here's one of the results of it. Analyzed the top 10 sites for Dennis Scottsdale, which was a keyword we were targeting. Very simple to use. You just put your keyword in it, and it'll tell you where you're missing your, and then what you can do is you can add your website to it and actually compare your results to what the average is. And on this one, you can see that we're a little bit below average, and the next one I'll show you we're a little bit above average. Now this site was missing some, like we had missed some basically different variations of like just dental terms that we had missed, but that were present on average throughout the top ranking sites. So once we added this is an after chart after we actually added it and reanalyzed the site. And then typically on-site, anything you change on-site, you'll see your change within 5 to 7 days. If you don't see a SERP movement within then, you didn't get a SERP movement from the on page. That's pretty much, it's been like that for pretty much over a year now that I'm seeing. You can go make a tweak to your page title. If Google likes it, you'll see an uptick within about 5 to 7 days. If Google doesn't like it, you'll see a downward spiral at the same time. Um, and it came out great on this one. I mean, this was a site that was stuck down in like under hundreds for these keywords for Scottsdale. I know the main location page, we're page one, all of that, but this was a secondary location we were working on, and it was stuck for a long time. I mean, you can see even back into like March where it's just dancing. Like we just can't, we could, no matter what we tried on this. I mean, we sent super powerful links, we sent branding, we tiered stuff, we did everything, and we didn't see a consistent, sustainable increase until we did this, and we did get that increase from this one. And we're not on page one yet of it, but we have a huge uptick in rankings. And the next one I'm going to show you here is a fairly competitive term for Phoenix roofers. If anybody works in the Phoenix market, it's very competitive down there. And we had a site that, again, was stuck in maybe 20 to 30 for a while. So again, we did our analysis of it. We compared our site to what the top 10 sites were doing. And on this one, after we went in and added our missing keywords and key phrases, we actually added them just a little bit higher than normal, just to compare it based on the dentist one, so that we have a little bit of comparisons here. And we didn't see a real difference. As long as you're there, it seems to be working pretty good, whether you're a little bit above the average or a little bit below. But on this one, I know we were missing some variations of like just the word roofer, like roofers. Like we were missing that. Like the average was maybe X amount of times, we had 0. We were also missing a couple variations of roofing contractor maybe, and then some other ones like just commercial and some other things that we were missing. And again, after we added them, this one actually had even better results than the dentist had. We actually took this to page one, and we just continued to increase. Now we did have one Phoenix roofers where we did drop, but it has since stabilized, and there's been no new links built to it. All the links have, so these sites, they were just like I said, they were stuck. We did this, and we saw a huge uptick just by doing it. So I figured out it was something that it's working. This is working. It's definitely working, guys. It's called text-tools.net.
That's awesome, man. Not to interrupt you, but while you're moving on to the next thing, I think this is really cool, especially as digital marketers or SEO agencies, whatever you guys are doing. We've run into a lot of niches where it might not be. You might not be super familiar with it, right? So you don't know all the little phrases and terminology, and you might not just know the language of that niche. And to be able to have a tool that analyzes other sites that they're going to have an advantage there, right? They're going to have an advantage because they're already ranking all of the LSI and key phrases and stuff. They're already on that page. It's what Google wants to see. So instead of having to navigate through whatever your favorite keyword tool might be and try to mine the best LSI phrases yourself, it kind of gives you an advantage there, where anything where it just analyzes what's already working, I'm a big fan of. So that's a pretty cool share. It's interesting the results you got with that as well. And you're testing this on just a bunch more things, correct, Chaz?
Yeah, yep.
That's awesome. Be sure to let us know. Maybe we'll do like a follow-up post or quick video sometime.
Well, these two sites, these are the ones that we can say like they had no new links built. So there was no other reason for the ranking changes other than what we did here. The other sites, like they're in process, other things are happening. These two, for these terms, there was nothing going on for them at that point. And
makes sense.
Any links that were dropped had been dropped 30 days ago at a minimum, if not longer. So
that's really cool. That's really cool. Couple questions really quickly that just rolled in. I'm not sure if you can see. I know Brian said it's hell to see the questions as they come in if you're not like the main organizer of the Webby. Um, Shonda asked if it's a paid subscription.
I think it is a paid tool, but it's not expensive.
Okay,
Um,
cool.
they might even have, I don't know. I'm not, I dropped the direct link. It's not an affiliate link or anything. It's just something that we needed to use in house. We tested it. It's working great, and I wanted to share it. I just wanted to share that, like, that's actually working really well. So.
Awesome. Yeah, that's really solid. So, the first part of the semantic puzzle is of course on page. What signals, what topics and terminology and stuff is on the website that's gonna, tell search engines what the site's about so they can serve it for the proper terms. So that's awesome. Very cool, dude. Um,
I dropped
Jake?
some links into
Oh,
that
I'm sorry.
chat box there if anybody's interested.
Oh, thanks, man. Dave said awesome. Thanks so much. We're getting very cools. Lots of good stuff. That's awesome, man. Oh, okay, cool. Yep, lots of people were saying great, thanks, fantastic, great links. Mark is so cool, even though Chaz gave the info. I'm kidding, no one said that. Um, thanks for the courtesy chuckle, Mike. Always appreciated. Jake Kettner doesn't know what a courtesy chuckle is. Um, um, all right, awesome, dude. That's really solid. So, how about RankBrain, Jake? Mike, want to talk about RankBrain, or do you guys want me to jump into my Anthony stuff, or what do you want to do?
Um, I mean, that's kind of a pretty good segue into RankBrain actually, because um, basically, like, Google's primary objective is to make the most money possible, and their second objective is to serve the best search results so that more people use them so that they can make more money. Um, and I guess up until RankBrain, which was what, like a year ago that the first RankBrain was announced or came out. Um, and so it was they basically like manually evaluate specific results for a keyword as to where what were the highest quality results, and then test like they're this isn't the only way that Google works, but they'd test algorithm changes that they'd change manually to change the parameters on different areas in the algorithm, and then compare back to the results to see if it resulted in better results or worse results. And because of sort of the results-focused approach of doing that, that's sort of where RankBrain came in, was to put machine learning at the dial controls to change those parameters and test. And instead of being able to test something every 5 minutes or 10 minutes or hour, it can literally test thousands of variations of parameters and compare them to to outputs as to what the best the best organization is. And I think that kind of makes a lot of sense that that this text tools is working so well, because it would make sense that the input factors that for RankBrain to determine whether a parameter change is a positive change or a negative change would be whether the sites that move up have common factors with the top performing sites. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. It was. I mean, admittedly, it was a very long-winded way
Mhm.
of articulating it, but yeah, absolutely. I think, and Google is going to move more in that direction. All of this stuff is very. Like I said again, I'm going to reiterate how disappointed I am that the word semantic just gets thrown around so loosely when it isn't. In a lot of cases, how it's being used doesn't really it doesn't isn't really conducive with the semantic web or RankBrain or how Google wants to use these factors to determine their search results. So yeah, I
I,
mean that's. Go ahead. Yep.
I mean, I think like it scares people that a machine learning algorithm is going to change the algorithm itself. Um, but that said, like the more that machines are doing and the less that humans are doing, the more we have the opportunity to actually influence the knowledge graph and change, what Google sees as valuable results, which is sort of a new aspect to SEO that wasn't really available, 3 years ago.
Yeah. Whoops.
Definitely. I mean, I feel like since RankBrain or semantic search was pretty much introduced with Hummingbird, but ever since then, I feel like they've been putting more of an emphasis on ranking and increasing quality content in the SERPs as opposed to penalizing or, removing poor quality content. Like last week, I think we were talking about how certain spam tactics. I know Mark mentioned in the group that certain spam tactics are working well, and I think that largely has to do with semantic search and RankBrain. Of course, you can't just like slam your site with a bunch of anchor text links and expect to rank, but Google's understanding of the internet has shifted from more of a mechanical understanding, like just optimized anchor text, to an understanding of why links are where they are, what text means, what things mean in context, and so on like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we saw that progress from, and I'm not going to sit and say like footer links or sidebar links don't work anymore, right? Because you can definitely see results with them, but admittedly, the weight they carry has seen diminishing results over the past
Hmm.
few years, to where it's like if something's stuck in a footer or a sidebar, is it quite as relevant? Is it quite as helpful as something that's contextually hyperlinked from this article, right? So we saw a progression of that. Now, like you said, and Jake mentioned, it's getting to the point where it's going to be a majority of the algo is going to change and be modified based on this machine learning. So, and I completely agree with the content aspect of things. And just like we said last week, where Google's doing a lot more, and this didn't used to be the case. The amount of competitive research I actually applied to my SEO strategies, uh, it was not. It's increasing. It's increasing exponentially to where it's starting to be like you can create better patterns now. It used to be just completely like no, like your competitive research, like the guy ranking number 3 could have 2,000 junk links and be ranking with some good on page and an old site. You could come in with 5 PBNs, 10 real. I'm talking real PBNs, not the scrape stuff these days. I'm talking like the stuff you used to get on auctions and where you used to get like a PR4 back when that was relevant, right? Um, like those type of links, you could come with 5 or 10 of those and just completely take the page over. So competitive analysis was like you didn't quite need it as much if you had a scaled system to rank, right? And now it's at the point where the competitive analysis is incredible, just like the tool Chaz showed us, and what you guys are saying with content, where we talked last week, where a ton of content is actually being seen as not commercial enough. It's like it's too much. It's like a piece of literature at this point, right? So everything's based off of what other people are engaging with. If they're searching for a dentist in Scottsdale and you have something that has 10,000 words on the page, but the other things that are ranking that get clicked and engaged with just don't, you're going to have a lot harder breaking through that threshold and taking any of that real estate if it's not on par or in line with what the other competitors are doing. So I love the tool like Chad showed, and I think more of that. I think that's getting more and more important. Where the competitive analysis is just we're using it more and more to rank, and it
Yeah.
used to just be we relied on our systems 100%, and it's not quite that way anymore. And I think it's going to change rapidly in that favor. It's what the people want.
Yeah, it's cool to see these tools that make it easier though, coming out, the text tools. And I
Yeah.
mean, you've been preaching for a long time, Mark, and I know I've seen it on like Matt Diggity has preached about this a lot too. Like, don't focus on there is no optimal anchor text ratio. There's no optimal keyword density. Like it varies so much niche by niche, and like this tool helps with that on page, and it would be pretty neat if there was. I don't have a tool for that for incoming links, but I do that manually. But it would be neat if there was a tool for that as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I almost can't believe there isn't. I'm almost wondering if there isn't something that offers that type of solution. If not, that is interesting because it's, that deeper analysis by taking the top 10 that really matter and performing that deeper analysis and really knowing. Like I said, I used to kind of tell people, I was like, don't worry about so much competitive analysis. Like, create your system and scale it and repeat it. And now it's just becoming, when we have issues where things get stuck, and Jake and I, you and I work together on some stuff. And there's issues where you just have to dig deep. It's not the same scalable system that was working a year ago, or 6 months ago even. So, I think that tool's definitely needed. If something like that doesn't already exist, I think it'd be cool. Something like the text tools for links. Getting a bunch of stuff. Give me 1 second, guys. Someone did say Mark is a genius. That's what I needed. That's what I needed to finish out the afternoon. Ryan said, great tool. Calculating IDF with spreadsheet is a pain in the ass. Amen. Any type of situation where, especially if you're not 100% comfortable with a niche, that you just have to mine, just mine different topics and phrases that are popular, it can be a nightmare. There's no doubt. Shiny object. Looks like I'll have a late night. JC Blake gave us a woot. That was a big woot too, with an exclamation point at the end. Thanks for the link. Do you have a referral link so we can support you? No, I don't think any of us have an affiliate link, and that's not what it's about, man. Chaz came on and shared some good knowledge. I'm sure he wouldn't be mad if you went to Web20 and bought a link package, but he's not gonna nickel and dime you on an affiliate for a tool that he shares. He told me he wants to share some more stuff with the community and help out, and that's really what it's all about. So don't worry about that. None of us need our pockets coated off helping you guys with a tool. John says, I use a ton of sidebar links, and my theory is the September update targeted that, or my weight going to contextual links. It's really it's really tough to tell. I know that there's always going to be a certain type of diminishing result with those type of links, and I think there's a lot more to it. There needs to be context around those links. So, if you're on a page like where there's like 150 footer links injected into the page, that's going to be an issue, right? If you have a site that just has a footer link like designed by web20ranker.com or, whatever, M-Miles Marketing, whatever, right? Like that type of link, I don't think is going to have as much of a negative impact. It might not have a positive impact, but it's really, it's tough to tell out of context. But I try to generally stay away from them. Just have you guys seen the Epic Arrow plugin? I think it does what you're talking about, Mark. I actually never heard of it. The only WordPress plugin tells you exactly which competitors are using for internal links or external links. That's pretty cool. I'll have to check it out, Brian. I'll check it out and give it a review. Maybe that's a pretty cool solution. Was this recorded? I came late. Yes, we're recording it. And since someone said very nicely, please share the recording, we will hook you guys up. Could you send me the Web20 link? Thanks. Absolutely. I'm always up to send a Web20 link. Sorry. All right, just wanted to get a few of those out of the way. I am going to have to get off of here not too late. I have a school function with my kid. The plugin that was just mentioned was Epic Arrow, Jesse. Epic Arrow. I don't know anything about it, but it's supposed to do a lot of that competitive analysis. Someone says, "Wow, you reproduced." That's funny.
There's your laugh, Mark.
Even Lothar of the Hill people gave me an ouch for that one. Wayne, it's yeah, that's awesome. Good for you, Wayne. Good for you. Funny guy. All right, sorry about that, guys. I just want to get a few of those questions answered so we don't have like an hour of them at the end of the Webby. Mike, let me hear your thoughts, buddy. RankBrain, Semantic Web, Semantic anything.
Well, even before semantic search, I always kind of had this concept in my mind that I was communicating to the Google algorithm, like speaking to the algorithm when I was typing content or placing links, and that things just kind of had to make sense. So when semantic search started to become more, relevant, my SEO just kind of took off with it just because of the way I'd structured it. like you had mentioned before about the sidebar and the footer links. One thing I've noticed is if you can put some more content in there. For instance, I've done like web design for certain companies, and I'll put something, along the lines of Chicago SEO company services, like almost like a sentence or a small piece of content by my link, which produced a lot more ranking results than just like throwing a URL or a branded link in there. I don't know if anyone else has really experienced that, but I mean, I think that's why co-citations and structured citations, at least for me, they show pretty well. Structured data and schema are more and more important every day, and it all kind of ties into the same exact thing, semantic search and Google looking to understand what things actually mean.
Yeah. Dude, can we just call you the Google Algo Whisperer?
The Google algorithm whisperer. I do like talking to the algorithm.
I like talking to you about talking to the algorithm, so that's perfect. That's perfect. All right, I'll finish up with the. So something I preach a lot in LPB. I had the whole module on like there's the three factors to really like crush the SERPs, right? And the one of them, the one is to show Google you're a real brand. Okay, Google obviously started putting a lot more weight on what they consider real brands. So I'm sorry, I'm getting like, sorry guys, I just got distracted by something in the office. I'm terrible. It wasn't even your guys' fault saying squirrel this time. Um, but anyway, so one of the things I definitely recommend doing right away, I always tell people to use schema, right? And I know that schema's just everyone uses schema now, right? And if not, they should be. And if you guys, don't use schema or you want to get more into schema, jump over on the LCT blog. I have a whole post on schema. I'm going to fix that swipe file so you can use it. I'm going to add a snippet about JSON and whatnot. I've been using Project Supremacy a lot for it. It's convenient. Aside from that, I tell people to use the schema, and a lot of people don't really understand the concept of that, and it's pretty much just to make your page a lot more consumable by machines. Okay, and that's going to be the future. I mean, all the patents say it themselves. John Mueller says it himself. The machine learning is going to take over the algo modifications. Machine's going to be able to witness trends a lot better than a human, and it's going to be able to make more accurate projections over a longer period of time, extrapolated over a longer period of time. So the more consumable you can make a web page to a machine or a crawler, the better. And that's essentially what schema does. Any type of your schematic markup is going to make it a lot easier for a machine to kind of categorize, sort, censor. I mean, let's be honest, it can do a lot of things, right? Whatever's written on the back end of that algo, it's going to make it really easy to do with the information you give it, right? With that data. So I always start with that. Another thing that's really interesting, and here's where it's going to turn a little more actionable, is using, and I do this, I'm a big advocate of PMDs, partial match domains, because it's so easy to turn it into a brand. Now, if you see EMDs that are still working really well, and you go, you might type in, it doesn't matter, electrician Nashville, Tennessee, or electrician Nashville, TN, and it comes up and you have like electrician Nashville TN.com. EMD, it's pulling the knowledge graph, it's everywhere. Essentially what happened is Google was manipulated. Google was tricked into believing that is a name brand, that keyword is actually that site's name brand. That's how you can get EMDs to still work really well. You just have to be careful with over-optimization. I like PMDs because I'm a little bit of a wimp when it comes to over-optimization. I don't like to have to worry about that granular level. I like to be able to run it through a system and get it to rank. So I just saw this with, it's actually a business I just bought into. It's not local at all. It's actually e-commerce. I'm being very careful building links to this site. It's already doing pretty well in rankings, and it's for a fitness product. And I'm not saying every anchor, but a lot of the anchors I'm adding the brand name in. Obviously, the brand name's in the URL. It's, and I'm adding the brand name in with the keyword on every one, and that's one of the most powerful ways you can start to convince Google that this is the brand name, right? And it's going to associate the brand name with that keyword because the keyword's inside of the quote-unquote brand name. So it's little things like that you can do. Another thing that's really huge, and I really push you guys to do this, and I'm not trying to self-plug here because I'm one of the owners of Web20, but we do it in our monthly link building, and it's getting your site or your client site listed on Google's, either Google sites, which obviously are going to get more attention from crawlers and everything. I mean, it's the fact of the matter. And Google data partners. There's a lot of sites that share data with Google and vice versa. There's a lot of sites that cooperate with them. I go over a bunch of specifics on this in the LPB training, but essentially, anytime you can get your brand on those authoritative platforms, on Google sites and Google partners, and the whole Google kind of like link wheel that we do at Web20, we don't do that just for the fun of it. It really works. I love getting a lot of Google properties and Google data partners. I love getting my sites on those. The same thing happens where people talk about citations. It's super important that those top citations, Google loves those things. They've ranked for so many local keywords. Google's in love with them. You need to be on those. A lot of people say, oh, citations don't affect SEO anymore, and that's insane. That's insane that the top 50, the top 100, citation sources that are so trusted by Google, everyone scrapes data from them. They're some of the biggest grandfathers of data that people just curate and aggregate their stuff. It's insane. Like, you need to be on those top platforms. You need to be on the Google data partner sites, and you need to be telling Google as much as possible that your site's a real brand. And I've always had good success with that, and that's kind of the for me, that's kind of the off-site semantic web right there. You have a lot of opportunity to add a lot of content to those sites. You have a lot of opportunity to interlink your social profiles back with your site. You can create this massive ring, this just huge ring that Google sees and says, wow, this is a massive brand. Here's all their branded properties. They're on all these authoritative websites. Their social profiles are obviously real. They're plugged into like 100 of these different citations, and that's how you can really perpetuate just this growing ring, this growing semantic web. It's an offline semantic, exactly what it looks like if you would map it out. Greg, it's in the 3 factors to crush the SERPs module. It's the videos in there I talk about. The other 2, by the way, I'm not trying to build intrinsic value. Like, you can't get the other 2 unless you pay. For local sites, you need to show them that you actually perform a service or sell a product specific to the search. If you're a plumber, you need to have the correct things on page to show them you're a plumber. That goes back into like what Chad's was talking about with the text tools, what different topics and strings of words and whatnot are on a page about a plumber, right? And you need to show them that you actually have a location. You're actually geographically specific to the searching party. That's the second and third factor. But yeah, it's in that section of LPB, and that's what I have for today, guys. If you really want to go hard for off-site and influence the semantic web, then do so by perpetuating a real brand. Be on the sites all other real brands are on. Get on Google sites and Google data partners. It's huge, and it can really help. Build those profiles out. Have it linked to your videos and your social profiles, and if you're using a citation service that isn't Web20 ranker for whatever reason, make sure they're doing that, getting the logos up, linking to your social properties, adding your images in your YouTube videos and stuff. And if you sit and map it out, like I said, if you would draw like where everything links to and from, essentially your website's going to be in the middle like a nucleus, and you're going to have this massive web of sites that interlink to each other, and they're authority sites. These aren't PBNs. We want a footprint. This is the one place in SEO where we want the semantic footprint that perpetuates this real, growing, bustling brand. Mic drop. Hashtag mic drop.
Hey, Mark, can I just jump in? There were a couple things you mentioned that I just wanted to expand on a little bit.
Awesome.
Two things specifically. One, EMDs. I think the way most people use EMDs really effectively, I use them really effectively this way, is being really careful of that over optimization. I'll use like an EMD URL, but then I'll actually brand the site. So like the URL might be like NashvillePlumbers.com, but then the site would be like Jason's Plumbing, and then I have a brand name to use to water down anchor text ratios, as well as naked URLs, which have the exact match in them, and you can go really light on anchors. Like I think that's a pretty typical strategy.
Yeah.
But just what you were saying, if if you actually want to convince Google that Nashville Plumbers is the name of a business, and I've had really good results doing this, and I've had really bad results doing this. But if that was the actual name of the business, then the majority of their anchor text profile would be branded links, which would be exact match links, which would, by typical theory, over-optimize your site. But you see it in real businesses that actually have those like city service names that their anchor text ratios are like 50% brand / exact, and it still works. So it's something that, if you're playing with, if you like experimenting and you're playing with pay-per-lead, and you have a nice exact match domain that's short and sounds like it could actually be a brand, sometimes using using the brand in your citations and like everywhere is actually the right way to go on that.
Sure.
But not always. The other thing, just because we were talking about schema, I think it was John Mueller that said it, but it definitely came from Google. I forget where I saw it. It was people using schema wrong. Basically, if you get like a manual action for improper use of schema, what does Google actually do? And their answer was that they ignore all of the schema on your site. So say like if you're using review schema improperly, and they find you, they'll just eliminate all of the schema signals that you're sending them, which isn't really a place that you want to be in. So I know a lot of, like I do it on a number of sites, using, getting those stars in the ratings. But as their algorithms get better, sites are going to start losing all of their schema signals, which would be kind of crappy.
Right.
So yeah, just something to think about. Even having a page. Basically, the only requirement for those on-site review stars is that you have to have a system for people that actually submit reviews on your site. So even just adding a page with a submit review form on it, even if it's fake, is going to substantially lower the chances of getting busted for that. And I've actually added that to a few of my sites, just like a fake review form. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people were really abusing that with like same as and different product ontology stuff, where they were just like their same as they'd add a few hundred sites. And first off, I don't want that much code on my site anyway. Like I don't want a search bot to have to look through that much data in the first place. But yeah, stuff where it's just blatant manipulation. And you know what? That's really cool that they're taking the initiative to penalize that. I know a lot of people, that means they care. That means they're going to be using that extensively. If they want to refine how it's done, it means they're using it and they're going to continue to use it. So we're on the right track. It's just I completely agree. You can't be overly spammy with that stuff. And as far as EMDs, I definitely think you should start off with, again, I don't do much EMD. If I did start an EMD site today, I'd be doing URL and tons of URL variations. And that would be PBNs and everything, just to test the validity of that, being the anchor text or being the keyword, but in URL form, if that makes sense. And again, I don't have a lot of quantifiable results to say, listen, this is definitively what to do. But I completely agree with you there. Where you see some anomalous, yes, I said anomalous, that's your favorite word, Jacob. You see some anomalous things where it doesn't matter what EMD, PMD brand, whatever, where it's just like 80, 90% anchor text and they're rocking it. But, as a rule, I'd be very careful about overdoing the brand on an EMD. That's why I love PMDs, man. The brand plus the keyword, and I get aggressive with that, and I do pretty well with EMDs, so that's just where I live. I know you like EMDs and stuff, but I'm a cautious critter, I guess you
Yeah.
could say.
Mike, you do a lot of VMDs too, right?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of EMDs and PMDs. It's pretty much all I do unless I'm working with a client. But EMDs especially, it's pretty much a lot of URL and long tail. I'll even throw in some just very generic anchor text occasionally, like click here, read more, on a PBN with some really nice content that kind of relates to what I'm linking to. But yeah, if you just go with your brand hard with an EMD website, it's not going to work. I can tell you, I've done it plenty of times.
Nice.
It's like it does well for a little bit, and then just one day, poof, it just disappears on you.
Awesome. All right. Anyone have any questions? We're about 43 minutes in. We can knock out any questions, and I have to get to my kids' school. Okay. Oh, there they are. My bad. Is it better to link out to relevant content from LSI keywords or exact match phrase keywords? Okay. When you say is it better to link out to relevant content, can you clarify what you mean there, Chris?
Do you mean like authority outbound links?
I'm assuming that's what it is, and then using the keywords to kind of show. I'm not sure of the question for certain. Dang Poot asked, "Is Matt riding a donkey?" Is it Matt? Yes. If you did not hear him yell in the background, he did yell yes. Matt usually rides donkeys around the office. So, I mean, if you can't ride donkeys in the office, why have an office or a donkey? So, I jumped on late. What was the link to the tool Chaz was talking about? I know he dropped the link, Daryl. It was text-tools.com, I think.
.net.
.net. Text-tools.net. Where's the push button SEO? Neil, that's a really good question. I'll have to throw some HTML and some CSS up on a website and get you to push it a couple times. I actually think there are marketers who sold that, but I can't be sure where it's actually a button someone just pushed. I don't want to get into it, but it wouldn't surprise me. I imagine you could find a good vendor on the Warrior forum for some push button SEO, if I'm being honest. DJ said suggestions for outsourcing SEO for local clients. So here's the thing: you're going to get two different types of outsourcing and white label solutions. Okay, you're going to get stuff that is cheaper and can work great, but it's more a la carte. It's more, it's a little bit more management, and then you're going to get a white label solution that's more like partnering with another agency where they're handling the onboarding experience is great, the management's a lot more there. Things aren't quite more as a la carte, if you will. So if you're just looking for packages, PBN, citations, stuff like that, of course I'm going to have to plug Web20 Ranker. I mean, I own equity in it. Of course I'm going to plug it. But the team is incredible. It does great work. I mean, I'd plug it if I didn't own it. Probably not as aggressively, just being transparent. But, Web20 is going to rock it. If you're looking for a more managed solution where you really want to scale an agency and be 100% hands-off, you're going to pay a lot more. You're not going to get $400 a month services and $299 a month. You're just not going to get that with a higher end service. You're going to have to be charging, $1,500, $2,000 a month, $3,000 a month, and you're going to have to be ready to be exactly what you are, and that's a salesperson. At that point, if it's hands-off, you're a salesperson and you do client management, and you're going to have to pretty much assume you're going to give 50 to 70% of your money up. That's just it's how it works, right? You're going to have communication with the manager. If you're into something like that, I'd hit Jacob Kettner up, who's on this Webby. I'd hit him up. I'd hit Mike Milas up. I mean, anyone a white label for you. But of course, I'd definitely hit someone up that made me money. So, Sorry. I mean, at least I'm not like a scumbag marketer about it. He's like, I have no affiliation with this company, and it's like, really? You just love it that much? I mean, but it is like it's not just a company. I started pushing for an affiliate. I mean, it's my team. You know what I mean? It's my link building team. A bunch of the teams actually in house. I can look through this weird window. We in our office we have this weird these windows that lets you like look out over the entire office, and it's kind of creepy. Is it creepy, Matt? It's a little creepy. It probably doesn't help that you and I make it extra creepy when people look back at us or we look at them. But you can look out and see a lot of people that work on the stuff. So, it's not just a company I push for an affiliate check. It's our in-house team that we decided to kind of scale out for the public. So, Web 20 record. Oh, next question. I'm just not answering that question. Um,
There's grass in the field, play ball.
oh, man. The JCS packages are great. Found the link package. Thanks. Awesome. Anyone have any more questions before we wrap it up? Not a lot of questions today, but hey, that's all right. If you guys have questions at a later time, we can answer them in the thread. I will post a recording up of this someday. Actually, Matt's probably going to do it a lot quicker than I will because he's a superhero like that. Oh my God, that's just terrible. I'm ending this web because we're just getting terrible responses. Will the next Webby be all different? Yeah, we try to bring a new idea every week, Wayne. If you want, we can actually kind of transcribe what we did and do the exact same Webby again. Sometimes people like listening to the exact same content week after week. and yeah, you make a comment about me reproducing. I'm trolling you a little on the answer. You win some, you lose some, Wayne. Yeah, next week will be all different, man. We'll go over some other stuff that is really working and stuff. Could you speak it all in Klingon? Klingon. That's funny. That's the Star Trek language, I'm assuming. That's yeah, we probably could. I'm sure Jake and Mike could. They're complete geeks. I'm just kidding. No, neither of you strike me as Star Trek people. Not that there's anything wrong with that. There's another inappropriate comment about an inappropriate question. God,
Man, you definitely your opinion changes of group members when you start reading all the comments on here.
you start to really see who you'd let babysit your kids or
I'm
not.
like, dude, that is like, no, yeah.
That's funny. Yes, it was recorded. Thank you, Brian, for showing up. It was awesome to have you. And again, guys, we'll post the recording. If you have any questions, let us know. We will see you next Thursday for a lot more fun, and we will keep the party going. Yes, it will be, William. All right, thanks, guys.
Awesome.
Take care.
Bye.